There are lots of American dual nationals who haven't yet made a final decision on their future. And today, I'm ranking the top 10, not just by talent, but also by value to our program. Yes guys, welcome back to another 11 Yanks video where we discuss all things in the American soccer landscape. I'm Pete Douthit, former coach and host of this show. Do me a favor and smash like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos. Okay, so our fight for dual nationals over the last 5 years has had mixed results. The ones we've lost: Jonathan Gonzalez, Julian Araujo, David Ochoa, and Efrain Alvarez. The ones we've won: Serginho Dest, Yunus Musa, Ricardo Pepi, and Tyler Boyd. There are still a ton of talented kids who haven't yet made their final decision on which country they will represent, and 2022 could see some of them making that commitment one way or another. Today, I want to rank the top 10, not just by skill or talent level, but by how important it is that we win their commitment to our program. So, a more talented player or player who I think might have a higher ceiling could be a bit lower in the rankings, if, for example, we are stacked in that position already, and a player with a slightly lower ceiling might rank a few spots higher if they play in a position where we have fewer talents. So, without further ado, let's dig into it, and in the comments below, let me know if you agree or disagree with my selection. 10th on the list is Mauricio Cuevas. Cuevas is a quality, and I mean quality modern fullback. Quick, technical, good vision, solid defender, excellent with direct free kicks. He's a product of the LA Galaxy Academy, and while he didn't want to sign a homegrown contract with the Galaxy, he recently signed with Club Bruges in Belgium. Cuevas made 3 appearances for the US at under 17 level, but is still eligible for Mexico. He hasn't played for 2 years because the Galaxy released him. Why? That comes down to his agent, Gary Kleiben. Kleiben's brother Brian was the head of the Galaxy Academy and was encouraging young players to sign with his brother's agency and not sign homegrown contracts with LA, which is a major conflict of interest. When Cuevas chose Kleiben as his agent, that effectively ended his association with the Galaxy. Now, because he hasn't played in 2 years, there's going to be a steep learning curve for Mauricio at Bruges, but he has the talent to play at that level, and he's still young enough that he's only going to be 23 at the 2026 World Cup here in the US. To be honest, he probably would be higher on this list if we weren't so stacked at the right back position, but he's one for the future. DeAndre Yedlin, Shaq Moore, and Reggie Cannon probably won't be in the USMNT picture come 2026, and it's up to Cuevas to fight with Dest, Scally, and Reynolds for a spot on this team. Prediction: this is a tough one. Mexico has some good young right backs too, so this could really go either way. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably say Mexico, simply because of the right back depth chart and also because Gary Kleiben is pretty much feuding with everything in American soccer. But to be honest, I really have no idea. Time will tell for Mauricio Cuevas. For now, let's just hope he starts getting minutes at Bruges sooner rather than later. 9. Antonio Leone. Tony Leone is a product of the LAFC Academy and is an excellent young dual-nat center back. At 17 years old, he started 23 games for Las Vegas Lights in USL, scoring 1 goal and getting 3 assists. He's versatile enough that he can play either left center back or right center back, but naturally at 17, he's got a steep learning curve. This is evident in the Lights conceding 77 goals in USL last season in 32 games. Leone is a beast. He combines all the physical tools of a dominant center back with the technique of a player who can play with his feet under pressure. I'm just not sure if he's going to spend another season at Las Vegas Lights now that their former coach, Steve Cherundolo, is the head coach at LAFC, but I don't know if he's ready for MLS just yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him in 2022. Now, unlike us, Mexico had multiple U20 camps in 2021 and called him up regularly. That hurt us because our lack of camps gave Mexico an opportunity. So much so that when both us and Mexico called him up for Revelations Cup, he chose Mexico. This is why having regular youth camps is so important. They also made him their captain, which shows you how highly they rate him. My prediction, this could go either way. A source told me that he might be in the soon-to-be-announced upcoming U20 camp, and that would be awesome. But we still have a ton of work to do to convince him that his future lies with us. 8th is Kevin Paredes, the 18-year-old left wingback for DC United. Paredes has a left foot, which is always valuable in soccer because of its general rarity. Because he played as a winger for most of his youth career, he still needs to improve his defending in isolation if he wants to be a quality left back long term. But going forward, he has all the tools. Paredes made his debut for DC United a month after he turned 17, and he hasn't looked back since. This season he played as a wingback in Hernan Losada's 3-4-3, scoring 3 goals and getting 4 assists. On top of that, he also won 3 penalties. He was called up by Greg Berhalter to train with the Gold Cup squad in July, along with fellow DC Academy product Moises Neiman, and told MLSsoccer.com that in phone conversations with Greg, Berhalter told him that he sees him as a left back long term. At 18, obviously Paredes is still growing, and the one knock against him is that he doesn't quite have that explosiveness or burst of pace from a stationary position. But he more than makes up for it with excellent technique, vision, and a knack for ghosting into the box to finish chances at the far post. Paredes was born in Virginia to Dominican parents, but he's repped the US since under 16 level, and considering the greater opportunities available to him with the US, were obviously his first choice. The only way he ends up playing for Dominican Republic is if he can't get an opportunity with us. 7th is Gabriel Slonina, the Polish-American 17-year-old Chicago Fire goalkeeper. Not only is it extremely unusual for a 17-year-old to be playing at the pro level, Slonina is also the most valuable goalkeeper in the world in his age group according to Transfer Market. He's got the frame, the instincts, and the mentality of a very good goalkeeper. Did I mention he's just 17? When I was 17, I was shooting water rockets at paper targets in my backyard, not guarding the sticks for a pro team at Soldier Field. Slonina has a ton of potential, but the one concern for me is that he's still not great with his feet, and booting it long for the Fire week in and week out isn't going to help him with that. I don't know how new coach Ezra Hendrickson is going to play, but Slonina has time to improve that side of his game. But he needs reps. That's the important thing. Not surprisingly, Poland has been watching him, and they recently admitted they were tracking him and that he was, quote, interested in repping Poland. My guess is they contacted Slonina and he didn't want to close any doors, but that the US is who he wants to represent. He's already played for the U20s at Revelations Cup and now been called into 2 separate camp cupcakes by Greg Berhalter to train with the MLS version of the senior team. My prediction? Red, white, and blue, baby. In 6th place is Arsenal striker Folarin Balogun. The English-American dual national has been with Arsenal since his academy days, but at 20 is still playing in the reserve league, which is not great, especially for a striker. From what I've seen of Balogun, he's wildly inconsistent, looking like a world beater in one moment and absolutely shambolic in the next. Balogun, like Yunus Musa, was born in New York to Nigerian parents and lived in the US until he was 2 before his parents moved to London. He's been capped by England at all youth levels as recently as last September, where he played 4 games in the Under-21 European Championship qualifiers, scoring 1 goal. The reason he's as high on this list as he is because we don't have a ton of strikers in his age group, but he needs to prove he can do it at more than just the reserve level. He did have a few goals for Arsenal in the Europa League, but has failed to convince Arteta that he deserves to be with the senior squad. All reports are that he's set to join Middlesbrough on a loan until the end of the season, so it will be interesting to see how he does in the Championship. My prediction? This is less about who he represents and whether or not he ends up representing anyone. He's still eligible for Nigeria, but unless he can prove that he can be consistent in the Championship at least, it's hard to see him getting called up for anyone's senior team, to be honest. 5. Amir Richardson. Amir Richardson is a French-American central midfielder who plays for Le Havre in Ligue 2, or the second division, for those of you who weren't paying attention to French class in high school. Richardson can play as a box-to-box midfielder or as a 6, and it's easy to look at that backup spot to Tyler Adams and wonder if he could be vying for it sooner rather than later. The French rate Richardson very highly, calling him up for their under-20 team in November and giving him 90 minutes in a 3-2 loss to Germany. Richardson is already 6'5". He certainly has the athletic tools, and with Le Havre vying for promotion to the French First Division, he could be playing in Ligue 1 next season. Interestingly, he does have a connection to the US through his dad. He used to visit the US in the summers growing up, and he's mentioned that he's open to repping the US, but also told Brian Sciaretta of American Soccer Now that he hasn't heard anything from US soccer. My prediction, this one's going to come down to recruiting. France is probably his first choice right now, but breaking into the French senior team is no small feat. And maybe, just maybe, with the connection through his dad and the right kind of recruiting from Greg Berhalter and Brian McBride, he could be persuaded to rep the US. I just don't think it's going to happen until it looks likely he won't get a chance with the French team, so possibly not for a couple of years. 4. Richie Ledezma. Richie Ledezma is one of those technical, creative, unpredictable midfielders that kill you in transition or break down a low block with his incisive and precise passing. Ledezma doesn't fit the traditional mold of the American athlete. He's small and he's kind of wiry, but he's an absolute magician on the ball. He was just getting minutes for PSV at the age of 20 when he ruptured his ACL, but he's back now and will probably get minutes in the second half of the season. Ledezma has repped the US since the U20 level, first being brought in by Tad Ramos. He got an assist to Sebastian Soto for a goal in the 3-2 victory over France in the second round of the Under-20 World Cup and was a standout player in that tournament. He told the Scuffed podcast in 2019 that even if Mexico came calling, he wasn't interested. But that was before Musa, Gio, and others were in the picture. He was called up to the US senior team in late 2020, and after coming on in the 76th minute in a friendly against Panama, he got 2 assists, both deep crosses to his old RSL buddy, Sebastian Soto. Some people, Greg Berhalter included, may feel that he doesn't have the athleticism to play in central midfield, and he may be shunted wide, which, in my opinion, isn't his best position. My prediction? I think Ledezma picks us, but it depends what happens. If he's getting regular minutes for PSV this spring and we don't call him up, we leave the door wide open for Mexico to come calling. We're his first choice, but that red, white, and green door isn't closed, and we need to slam it shut. And soon. 3. Justin Che. Justin Che is next on this list, partially because we don't have a ton of elite U20 center backs available, and partially because he has the potential to be a Chris Richards level center back for us, that is, a regular starter in a top 5 league in the world. Che joined Dallas's academy when he was just 5 years old, so he's been bred by the hands-down best academy in North America his entire life. He signed a contract with Dallas and played in the USL for 2020 when he was just 16. He signed a homegrown contract with Dallas later that year and was subsequently loaned to Bayern Munich for a 6-month loan, where he quickly became a starter for their reserve team in the German 3rd Division. After his loan finished, he returned to FC Dallas for the 2021 season and became a starter in MLS at just 17 years old. Dallas has played him as a right back to improve his defending and isolation, but his technique, athleticism, and ability to play under pressure was pretty evident. Some players instantly grab your attention when they get on the ball, and Che is one of those. Long term, he's a center back, and what a center back he could be. He's only 6 feet tall, but having just turned 18, he's not done growing yet. I think he and Richards could be our starting center back pairing at home in 2026, but there's the small matter of him being able to represent Germany, Russia, and Cameroon. I don't think we have to worry about Russia or Cameroon, but here's what he told American Soccer Now in early 2021. I'm thinking with me establishing some time here in Germany with Bayern, that might open some doors with the German national team. They'll most likely keep an eye on me. I'm not really set on one national team specifically. I'm not really set on playing just for the US or playing just for Germany. I kind of want to keep my door always open until I got to make the decision at the time. But after he was called up to the US senior team's training roster for a friendly against Switzerland last spring, he told this to Garrett Melser. I'm still very young, so I have a lot of time. I think it stands right now, I don't really have a primary choice. To me, the team that gives me the most opportunity and the team that embraces me and allows me to represent their country is the team that I'd choose. It's all about having a chance. If you don't have a chance, you won't be seen and no one will know your name. It's about opportunity and having the pride to represent your country. My prediction? I don't think he ends up repping Germany. They have a ton of prospects, and even if he does end up in Bayern Munich, I think he still reps the Stars and Stripes. The number 2 spot goes to Malik Tilman. The 19-year-old attacking midfielder or striker has made 5 appearances for Bayern Munich this year, mostly off the bench, although he most recently played 75 minutes in the 2-1 loss to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and also scored a goal in the German Cup thrashing of Brenner, I think it was, 12-0. Tilman was born in Nuremberg, Germany to a German mother and American father. He did make an appearance for the US under-15s, but has represented Germany from the U16 level all the way up to the U21s. Tilman has a way of being both explosive and languid simultaneously. He always seems to have time and space on the ball, which is the hallmark of a really quality player. There's a rhythm to his game. He's in flow, and it shows on the pitch. At 19, he's still growing into his body, and his decision-making is still something that needs major improvement, but he's on the right trajectory to being a Bayern Munich regular. In fact, Bayern coach Nagelsmann recently said he's not a blind sub. We're talking about a top-quality young striker. I'd also trust his use when things are not settled on the pitch. My prediction, guys, as much as I'd like to tell you otherwise, we're not getting Malik. He's represented Germany his whole youth career, and being a regular with Bayern will almost certainly get him Germany call-ups. Unless his trajectory falls off massively in the coming years, he's a Die-Mannschaft player through and through. Jonathan Gomez is the number 1 on this list. Not only does he play in a position of need, left back, but he also has a very high ceiling. He joined the FC Dallas Academy when he was just 13 and was playing as a winger at the time. It was with Dallas that he transitioned into a left back. After 3 years with the academy, Gomez signed an amateur contract with FC Dallas's reserve side, North Texas SC in USL League One, at the age of just 15. During his time with North Texas, Gomez started and played in 9 matches, tallying 2 assists. Yes, at 15. For whatever reason, he decided not to sign a professional contract with Dallas and instead joined Louisville City FC in 2020 at the age of 16. He was in and out of the team a lot in that first season, but exploded in his second season with Louisville, not only becoming a starter, but tallying 2 goals and 10 assists, which not only put him second in Louisville's assists chart for the season, but 7th overall in the entire league, all from left back. He signed as a free agent with Real Sociedad in La Liga, where he just moved this January, and he'll start off with their second team in La Liga too. It'll be interesting to see how quickly he progresses into their first team, but make no mistake, Gomez is a real talent. Speed, technique, intelligence, and athleticism makes him the full package. He's been with both the US and Mexican youth teams and recently made his debut for the USMNT, getting 9 minutes in their 1-0 win over Bosnia and playing a crucial part in the goal, shooting from outside the box, which the keeper spilled, and the rebound was tucked home by Cole Bassett. A lot of our left back options are pretty mediocre, so winning Gomez for the US should be priority numero uno for Berhalter and his staff. Prediction: this could honestly go either way. He went to a lot of Mexico youth camps in 2021, and they've shown him a lot of love, but he's friends with a lot of guys in the US youth program too, and Berhalter gave him the match ball after the Bosnia game, which I'm sure gave him a lift. It's going to be a tough choice for Jonathan, but here's hoping it's us that he chooses. Of course, there are tons of other options to think about. Timothy Tillman, Johnny Perez, Malik Sanogo, Brian Oko, Jeremy Toljan, Leonard Maloney, Edwin Cerrillo, Moises Nyman, Christian Fletcher, Alex Maitin, and many others didn't quite make this list. But here's the thing about young players. You just don't know who's going to come up and surprise you later. So any one of those options could be in the top 10 even in a year or 6 months or 2 years from now. In the meantime, fingers crossed we can get at least 60 to 70% of these guys. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you soon.